Today, we're unpacking a really crucial dynamic: macroeconomics and the business environment. We're going to look at how the overarching economic weather impacts the day-to-day operations of a business. Because, let's face it, a company can have a phenomenal product, highly efficient production, and just brilliant pricing, but if a massive economic storm rolls in, it can still face major, sometimes existential challenges. Our goal today is to understand that weather. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Zooming out to macroeconomics. 2. The engine, GDP and cycles. 3. Economic pressures, prices and jobs. 4. The levers, policies and rates. And 5. The macroeconomic business dashboard. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Zooming out to macroeconomics. Understanding the overarching economic environment. All right, to really grasp this, we need to draw a hard line between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is all about the individual. It's about specific markets, individual firms, and pricing strategies. Macroeconomics, however, looks at the overall economy, things like national inflation, unemployment, and broad government policies. Think of microeconomics as running your specific ship. You control the sails, the crew, and the cargo. But macroeconomics, that is the unavoidable weather system outside. You can't control it, but you absolutely must understand it, because bad macroeconomic weather can easily capsize even the best-run microeconomic ship. Section 2. The engine, GDP and cycles. Tracking economic growth and those inevitable fluctuations. So let's start with the ultimate barometer of our economic climate, gross domestic product, or GDP. GDP is essentially the economy's engine. It measures the total market value of all final goods and services produced within an economy over a specified period. And it's driven by that famous formula C plus I plus G plus NX. That stands for consumer spending plus business investment plus government spending plus net exports, which is just exports minus imports. When this GDP engine is growing strongly, businesses see higher consumer spending, expansion opportunities, and a real need to hire. But when GDP slows down or turns negative, well, that engine sputters. And that's exactly when businesses are forced to implement hiring freezes, reduce investments, and aggressively cut costs. Which brings us to the business cycle. Economic activity, it doesn't just grow in a perfectly smooth, straight line. It naturally fluctuates through 5 pretty predictable stages. It starts with an expansion, where production and employment rise. Then it hits a peak, before inevitable cooling leads to a contraction, or a recession, where demand weakens and unemployment rises. Eventually, it hits the absolute bottom, known as a trough, before finally entering a recovery phase that leads right back into expansion. As a business leader, knowing exactly where your business is within this rhythmic cycle dictates whether you should be aggressively expanding your factories or carefully hoarding your cash. Section 3. Economic pressures, prices and jobs, navigating inflation, deflation, and labor markets. Take a look at this single glaring number, $130. Imagine you're running a manufacturing business. Your raw materials used to cost exactly $100. Suddenly, due to a sustained increase in the general price level, which we call inflation, those exact same materials now cost $130. That is a massive hit. If you can't raise your own selling prices to pass that cost on to your customers, your profit margin completely collapses. Inflation actively destroys money's purchasing power, and it impacts everything from raw materials to transportation to labor costs. But where does this inflation actually come from? Well, it generally boils down to 2 main drivers. First up is demand pull inflation. This happens when eager buyers drive up prices because aggregate demand is rising way faster than the economy's ability to actually produce those goods. It's the classic case of too many dollars chasing too few goods. Cost push inflation, on the other hand, happens when the upward pressure on prices comes from expensive supplies, like a sudden spike in global energy or transportation costs. The business's production costs rise, forcing them to raise prices just to survive. Alongside prices, we absolutely have to look at jobs. And unemployment isn't just one monolithic thing. There are 4 distinct types. First is frictional unemployment, which is just the natural temporary gap when people are moving between jobs. Then there's structural unemployment, a much deeper issue representing a mismatch between the skills workers actually have and the skills companies need. Cyclical unemployment is directly caused by those broader economic downturns or contractions we talked about earlier. And finally, seasonal unemployment follows predictable industry patterns like agricultural work or holiday retail. Now, while high overall unemployment generally hurts businesses because consumers have less purchasing power, there's a fascinating flip side here. For an employer, a larger talent pool can actually ease recruitment efforts and significantly reduce wage pressures. Section 4. The levers, policies, and rates. How authorities try to control the economic weather. So, imagine a business wants to build a state-of-the-art new factory, and they need a loan of $10 million. The single most important factor in that decision is the interest rate, the sheer cost of borrowing that money. If authorities hike interest rates, borrowing becomes significantly more expensive. Suddenly, the expected financial return from that shiny new factory might no longer justify the massive cost of the loan. The business scraps the project, investment drops, and economic growth cools right down. To understand how this is all managed, we need to distinguish between two main tools: monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy, that's conducted by a country's central bank. Their primary tools are tweaking interest rates and managing liquidity to influence credit and financial conditions. So if inflation is running too hot, they'll raise rates. Fiscal policy, on the other hand, is conducted by the government. Their tools are taxation and public spending. If the economy is stuck in a deep trough, the government might lower taxes or increase spending to directly boost demand and put more disposable income back into consumers' pockets. And we also have the total wild card of exchange rates, which creates immediate winners and losers within the exact same economy. Let's look at currency depreciation. If a country's currency loses value, it makes imported goods, say foreign machinery, much more expensive for a domestic business to buy. But for an exporting business in that exact same country, depreciation is great news. Their goods suddenly become cheaper and highly price competitive to foreign buyers. Conversely, currency appreciation means imports become cheaper, but your exported goods become way more expensive for the rest of the world. It literally all depends on whether your business is buying from abroad or selling abroad. Section 5. The Macroeconomic Business Dashboard. Practical tools for surviving the storm. Zooming all the way out, the biggest picture you can look at is the interaction between aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate demand is the total planned spending by consumers, businesses, government, and foreign buyers. Aggregate supply is the total quantity of goods and services firms are actually willing and able to produce. When these two massive forces interact, they determine the entire economy's output and price levels. And heavily influencing both sides of this equation is confidence. Just how optimistic consumers and businesses are feeling about the future. Because if confidence drops, demand drops, and the whole system starts to slow down. Because of this, every smart manager needs to monitor what we call the business dashboard. You should be constantly checking these 6 indicators. Start with GDP growth to see if the overall economy is actually expanding. Then, look at inflation rates to see if your operational costs are about to spike. Check unemployment to gauge the health of the labor market and consumer demand. Monitor interest rates so you know the true cost of borrowing for future projects. Keep an eye on exchange rates to track your import and export competitiveness. And finally, track consumer and business confidence to anticipate future spending. You really want to treat this entire list as your essential weather barometer. Now, theory is great, but let's ask the million-dollar question. How does a real business actually respond when that dashboard starts flashing red and the economic weather turns bad? Let's walk through a real-world scenario of a furniture manufacturer facing a severe economic slowdown. We can directly connect the macro headwinds to their on-the-ground micro survival tactics. First up, consumer confidence falls. People just aren't buying luxury leather sofas right now. The business tactic? Immediately pivot focus to lower-cost essential products. Second, interest rates remain high. Taking out a loan is just way too expensive right now. The survival tactic? Protect cash flow and absolutely delay any planned factory expansions. Third, housing activity weakens. That means fewer people are moving and needing new furniture. The tactic?
aggressively reduce production and carefully control inventory so you aren't left holding unsellable stock. See? They are adapting their micro-strategy to survive the macro environment.
Which brings us to our final thought. The overarching economy is an incredibly powerful force that simply cannot be ignored. Every headline you read about central banks, inflation, or GDP data is a direct signal about the environment you have to operate in. So I challenge you. Look at today's global indicators. Apply what we've covered in this explainer to your own projects. Ask yourself honestly, is your strategy robust enough to survive tomorrow's economic weather? Keep learning, keep monitoring that dashboard, and thank you so much for joining me today.